Then I think we should resume. Ooh, what are we? 2 minutes to go.
She's the proprietor of the Village Cafe at Whara.
Right, well, we'll resume the hearing. We have two more submitters for this afternoon. I know it's been a long day, but there's 2 more to go. Ms. Clark, what are we up to?
Submitter 3166, Genevieve Rourke, on page 113.
Thank you. Hello, Ms. Rourke. Hello. I gather you're phoning in.
Hello. Yeah, look, I'm phoning and I'm sorry, I don't have great internet out here, so it was the safer of the 2 options.
That's perfectly fine. We've read your submission, but I'm sure there's some salient points that you want to highlight. So the next 10 minutes is all yours to do so.
Yep, but look, I'll be quite brief. I just, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the council staff on getting this organised, because obviously there was a lot of submissions. A lot of people feel quite passionately about this, so they've done a good job to pull this all together. And for you guys sitting here to listen to a couple of days worth, but I hope that we do get heard and our feelings considered in some of these matters. Yeah, because I do believe there's a lot of passionate dog owners in our area, and it is sometimes a thing that moves people to rural areas. And the Waikato being mostly rural, I believe that it's taking away one of those processes that people come to the area for. I do have issue with the closure of 7 dog parks. Now, currently, I don't use any of them bar the Horatu one, because it's the closest one to me, and I do understand that it's not owned by council. So that's a whole nother bucket. But once that does close down, I would be seeking my nearest one, which won't be easy to find if you're going to close down another 7. I think it's really important for owners to be able to socialise their dogs. I've met with a fantastic group of people in doing so every few days a morning. The dogs get to they learn social responsibilities, which I think is really important. It also gives them the exercise obviously required. So I think socialising our animals and the dog parks actually go a big way into that. And I think you will find the people who take their dogs to these places are quite responsible owners. So I feel like you're penalising the good dog owners by sort of cutting off a lot of access points to where they can exercise and can go. In one of your points, it's cutting off the ability to take your animals to sports grounds. Now, quite often, us as a family, including our family dogs, go to watch our kids play sports. This is in the Hamilton area. Well, obviously, thank goodness, because if it's going to be in the Waikato area, I won't be able to do that under these rules. But again, you'll find most people who take their family pet to watch the kids play sport, they're quite responsible people. They're not going to not pick up after themselves, let their dogs run unruly. So I do believe there is a certain cultural type of people that you're talking about here, and I don't think it's your everyday dog owners, to be honest. So, well, currently in Whara, you're closing off access to any of the parks. Now, sometimes me and my dog will go and play ball on one of the, the rugby ground or anything like that. So there won't be anywhere in Whara or close to me that I could actually do that based on these new rules. So the farmer's exemption, well, yes, there has to be a line in the sand for working dogs, but hey, no, I live opposite a farmer who's got 4 dogs, and 2 of them are continually on the road near causing accidents. So how are they put in a different basket than responsible dog owners who have got them behind gates and are looking after them as family pets? So I can't say that I believe every dairy farm or every farmer, should be able to have more than the allocated number that you're talking about without any responsibility, because I do believe they have responsibility to keep their animals and public safe as well. So I own a dog-friendly cafe, and a lot of people actually utilise that. We have groups of dog owners come in, meet up after a walk, and I haven't found one issue so far with anybody being irresponsible about bringing their dog into the premises. And as you can imagine, there is a lot of people who will have taken the family out down the beach or somewhere and go somewhere for something to eat. So these again are responsible dog owners, and I don't think these are the ones that, you know, should be punished in these blanket rules that you're putting across. So yeah, I just that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I know that a lot of people have talked on the 3-dog limit and extra registration. I do feel that, again, that will there is a lot of people out there who foster and look after dogs, and I do believe that they should completely have an exemption because we need those people. And yeah, and as for, you know, people who have often got 3 dogs, for instance, are again the responsible dog owners. So yeah, I'm happy not to take up any more of your time, but I'm happy to take any questions if you've got any.
Yes, we don't go. We have a question from Councillor Smith for you.
Hi, Genevieve. Nice to hear from you again. Just a question. Hi. Are you aware that with the domain at Whara and Te Kauwhai with the Village Green, that it is really only the playing surface of the ground, not the surrounding area of the domain, say at Whara, and that's to prevent an attempt to prevent the distribution of feces and other matter that isn't picked up by the odd person that, and it's to protect the children and the adult players who are on the field. So it's not a complete removal of that option at Whara, but it is trying to be to cater for both the dog community and the sports playing community. So do you understand that, or is it your understanding different to that?
No, I do, but once you take away the playing area, there really isn't much left. So to, you know, go out and play ball with Fido, there really isn't a lot of room to do that apart from the playing section. So, and I do know that there is irresponsible people who do not pick up after themselves, and that is a, you know, that is something that people need to be more responsible of, and you know, for their own, well, for everybody's benefit. I can't control what everybody else does,
No.
but education and signage and things like that, because, you know, maybe the education needs to go further than just putting a blanket rule down, because some people are idiots and let their dogs go all over the sports ground. It's punishing everybody. So that's just my feelings about that. And Te Kauwhai, obviously there's a playground right next to that one. So unless it's, you've got the 9 metres, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what space does that actually leave to play ball with Fido or take Fido for a walk? So
Yeah.
I think
No, I
it's
understand.
significantly reduced. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Rourke, we did discuss this at quite some length, and to your point about wanting to take the dog with you while you watched a sports game or watched your kids playing sports, that was something that we took into consideration, and as just reinforcing what Councillor Smith said. I don't believe there's any more questions for you, but I do thank you for your comment on the staff and the workload that they've had, and without putting the wrong analogy on it, I think sometimes it's been like herding cats, as you possibly imagine, trying to get 6 people together for dinner on the day, trying to get 10 times that is remarkably difficult. So thank you anyway for your submission. Thank you for your comments, and also thank you for the time. I do want to reiterate that all of the comments that are made, all of the points are taken into consideration. and that forms part of our deliberations, which happens at the end of the hearings. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Ms. Clark.
Yes, next submitter is 3189 Ian Cochrane on page 107.
Thank you very much. Hello, Ms. Cochrane.
Hello.
Oh, you are very speedy with your connecting up there. Top marks. You get the top marks for the day.
Oh, good. Starts me off well.
All right. So we've read your submission. Please just tell us what's important to you, what you want us to do about it, and why.
Sure.
The next 10 minutes are all yours.
Yep. Thank you. Now, to do with the rules to limit the number of dogs that a person can own, excluding the farm animal working dogs, which is great. I totally accept all of that. I just felt that it had been, as I noted there, that it is also important that we know that there's a lot of abused and neglected animals in the world, and there are the animal rescue farms. And I felt that they'd been left out of that. So, for example, animal rescue farms often we've got one out here in Raglan, and it's wonderful. You know, there's 5 or 6 dogs, and they're often quite old. They've been abused, they've been mistreated, and they get looked after and given, you know, some peace in their life before they pass on. Some of them are quite young. And so I was concerned that this rule would prevent the animal rescue farms from having more than the stated number of dogs. And I feel that they serve a very important function in our community, as long as they're, you know, bona fide animal rescue farms, which this one is, and I know of others. So there's that. I also was wondering, and I didn't mention it there, it came to me since then. I was wondering about like hunting dogs. Are they included in the definition of a working dog? They're not always on a farm. And I know I'm not a fan of hunting per se, but in New Zealand, of course, we have pigs and deer, although they usually don't use them for deer, just pigs. But I know locally here, you know, we get pigs on the mountain and they devastate the regenerating forest. And so I would like that to be considered somehow, so that hunting animals that actually go in there and hunt pigs in our native reserves could also be exempt from that rule, just because of the, well, obviously, you know, because they're doing a really good job of trying to preserve and protect our forests, our bush. So that, have I said enough about that? Because the other one I want to talk about is, if you want to ask, have I clarified that sufficiently?
Look, you have, and we do have a question, but carry on. You've got time to talk about your next point.
Okay, the other point really is just, we have a problem here in Raglan with dog control. You know, many of us know this, and it's fine to have the regulations, and we need those about off leash, on leash, how this is managed. But when you have those regulations, I feel council needs to be able to back those up, because people, they often completely ignore them. So you can make as many rules as you like, but unless there's that second half of the equation, that either through signage or whatever. For example, we have the airstrip here, aside what's happening on it in the other matter, which I won't, that's got nothing to do with this. But basically the airstrip is an on-leash area. You know, active as an airstrip, it's safe that the dogs be on leash, and I always respect that. Most people don't. And most people can control their dogs, but there are some people that can't control their dogs. Like I've got a little Maltese Shih Tzu dog. She barks at dogs, but she's completely benign. I always keep her up. She doesn't, like, she's fine. But she's been attacked twice on that airstrip by dogs who are off leash and who are completely out of control by their owners. And both times the owners haven't tried to get that dog off my dog, who's been on a leash right by my feet. I've had to try and go in there and actually risk. She's been bleeding, and it's quite a risk, that kind of thing. So I feel that there needs to be signage that says your dogs must be on leash on the airstrip. And because most people don't, most people's dogs are fine. They come when they're called, but a lot don't here. And a lot, sometimes the owner's not that bothered. Like my neighbour up during the lockdowns, we had a lot of trouble because dogs were, there's not a lot of traffic on the streets. And so people just let their dogs roam everywhere. Apart from the rubbish bags being pulled apart, which, okay, but it was quite dangerous. Like I ended up not being able to walk my dog because of what would happen is that sometimes they're just friendly dogs. They'd come up and the owners come right up into your face at a time of a lockdown to get their dog back. There's just a lot of casualness. My neighbour's little girl was knocked over and then she was abused by the owner. Now, when I've rung dog control and council, they said we haven't got enough time for that. So these things happen, but it's known here that council aren't going to back things up unless you make a formal complaint, which my neighbour did. And then they will. But if you ring up and say, look, there's dogs off leash and this happened, they just say, we don't have time. So I feel fine. Just don't make new regulations unless you are willing to even just post in the notice board and remind people that their dogs are supposed to be on leash. Like 2 people living in my area, they've never put their dogs on leashes. They walk up and down the road always. Anyway, that's.
I think the point you're raising about enforcement has been raised by a number of people.
Oh, I'm good.
So you're on song there. Councillor Eyre, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. And thank you for your submission. Just going back to the first point you raised about the animal rescue farms, or specifically dog rescue farms. I'm interested to know how we actually characterise them. How do we define them? How do we?
Actually,
they don't actually have to be licensed per se.
Yeah, I was thinking about that very thing. I thought, oh, how are they going to know what's a bona fide animal rescue farm and not? Now, if I'd thought about that earlier than 5 minutes before I was due to speak to you, I would have rung up the person and checked. They are they're called For Paws or something like that. There is a way in which animal rescue farms have to be registered.
Right.
I can't just take in animals and call myself an animal rescue farm.
Right. Thank you for that.
I think they do.
So, Mayor Allen, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Anne. How are you? Thanks for your submission. Hey, look, just for everybody, my son has him and his wife do DC rescue. They have a property on the farm here. And so they bring in abused dogs and look after them on site like that. And it's probably something I would have raised a little bit later on through the deliberations. But they are recognised by those particular organisations they support. So PAWS is one, DC Rescue is another one, and so they are actually recognisable. And it's around how do we recognise that these people are operating. And part of what they do is they take in these dogs, because they've got dogs of their own. They take these dogs in, they teach these dogs, obviously behaviour is a bit of an issue with some of them sometimes, and then they, as part of their overall process, identify through applications the approved new owner of the dog. And that may take a month, it may take 2 to 3 months, and so they go through an interview process with Gareth and Jasmine to do that. So yeah, look, there is a process in place to identify them, and we probably need to cover that off as part of our final solution.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I never like the final solution as a comment, but
I couldn't think of anything better. Sorry.
I think in the context of our deliberations, this point has been raised by a number of submitters, and I do see that it's something that we have not addressed and probably need to turn our minds to through the deliberations. So your input's really, really helpful. It combines with other people's as well. I know it's always difficult to find time to do these sort of things, but really appreciate that you have found the time and that you connected so seamlessly.
I really appreciate being able to just come and talk. You know, it's been an easeful thing, and I'm grateful for it. Zoom's wonderful.
Isn't it just? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that concludes Ms. Clark, there's nobody else.
No,
So that concludes our submitters for the day. So we resume again at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
yes.
Correct. On the same Zoom link. I'd like to thank everybody for their great listening, and also to the submitters who've taken time to submit. So I'll adjourn the meeting until tomorrow morning. Thank